Spider-Man No Way Home. This review is going to be so long, I can already feel it, because I have thoughts. 95% of them are phenomenal thoughts. The other 5% are sort of some gripes that I had with the film. I have gripes with every Marvel movie though, so it's not new. But this film was phenomenal and so near perfect. Like it was nearly one of the perfect Marvel movies. Like for me, Endgame was flawless and was the perfect Marvel movie, along with Civil War. I thought that was a good and perfect movie. This film, it had slight things that I was just sort of like, okay, but I don't know how I feel about that, and I don't know how I feel about this. Spoiler warning, and I mean spoiler, we are going to talk about everything in this. So if you don't want spoilers for the film, if you live in America or you haven't seen the film yet, do not, and I mean do not watch this video, because there is so much to spoil in this movie. Even if you know about all the leaks from like various different sources, if you know about all the leaks, still don't watch this video, because there is so much that I can spoil for you, and I don't want to spoil it for you at all. You know, hashtag no spoilers. I'm not here to spoil it for anyone, so I am giving you a very thorough warning. Click off this video now, watch the film, then watch this video, because I will ruin the entire movie for you. It's also started appearing on YouTube. I love that. The fact that it's been out literally a day, and it's all, like, the whole film is literally on, like, YouTube. My general thoughts. I loved this movie. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. And Endgame was a 10 out of 10. Civil War was a 10 out of 10. Spider-Man No Way Home was a 9.5 out of 10. And the only reasons that it was a 9.5 out of 10 is because there's a few issues that I have with sort of the whole hype around the film and not delivering 100% of what we were promised, or what we sort of speculated, I guess, which is sort of our own fault as fans. But, you know, it don't matter, all right? But general thoughts, I love this film. I bloody love it. I want to watch it so many times. Like, I'm planning on going again this weekend, and again next week before Christmas, and then again after Christmas. I'm planning it all because, sorry, Jaffa's scratching her ear. Excuse me, missus. Yeah, you. Stop it. But yeah, I'm planning on seeing this movie loads. I usually see Marvel movies 2-3 times in the cinema. I saw Black Widow 4 times, I think. I saw Shang-Chi 4 times. Eternals I've only seen once, and I feel like I'm just going to wait until it's out on Disney Plus, because I don't have the patience, to be honest, to watch it all again. But Spider-Man No Way Home, I want to see loads. Like, I love it. I love this film. I really do love this film. And it is such a joy to watch. It is such a good experience. It is like literally in the film. Actually, no, I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll talk about my experience watching the film in a minute. But storyline-wise, let's talk about storyline. So, the main gist of the film... So, the film is sort of in 4 parts, in my sort of opinion. Is it 4? Yes, 4 parts. So, first part of this film is everyone finding out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and the sort of whole thing of, you know, what do I do now? People are, like, arresting me. They want to know, did I kill Mysterio? People are siding with Mysterio. People are siding with Spider-Man. What do we do here? And I loved that. I really loved that part of the film. Like, the first 40 minutes, I think, 30 minute, 40 minute, like, was phenomenal. Like, I was just there like, whoa, this is, like, so cool. This is like a weird thriller film. Like, I love it. And one of the biggest reveals in this film, of course, literally, it came out of nowhere. Like, I was just sat there going, oh, wow, whoa, they're sat around the table. Like, literally, I did that, and everyone was, like, cheering and clapping. It was like, oh, my God, that Charlie Cox is back as Matt Murdock, a.k.a. Daredevil. He was there. He caught a brick. Like, it was amazing. But he is back as Daredevil. in the MCU officially, and it was amazing. Like, literally, the reveal, he literally sat down, the camera was just on a chair, and he sat down, and it was him with his red glasses on. Phenomenal. Like, as the reveal goes, it was amazing. As leaks go, we already knew, but, you know, the payoff was still there. Like, it was still a shocking moment. Like, we knew he was coming, we just didn't know when in the movie, and it was shocking to see when he was actually there. So, girl, it was amazing. As a Marvel fan and as a Marvel Netflix fan, it was amazing. Well done, Miss Amy Pascal and Kevin motherfucking Feige. You are amazing. Honest to God. But anyway, yeah, so the first 30 minutes is sort of like the legality side of Spider-Man. And then we have Peter wanting to go to college and the fact that they can't go to college because of everything that's happened with him being Spider-Man and all the allegations against him, that no one's wanting to take him on at their college. So he goes to Doctor Strange and he's like, can you please just make it so that no one knows I'm Spider-Man? And obviously Peter tampers with a spell, as we know, saying, I want this person to know, I want this person to know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And it goes horribly wrong, and people start seeping in from the multiverse into our Earth 616. And yeah. So, to sort of do things, Peter goes to find this woman who is part of a college on this bridge, and he's talking to her about all this stuff. And then, of course, the bridge fight with Doc Ock. And then, a little bit later on, Green Goblin. Green Goblin's not a massive part of the bridge fight. He's only in it for about 30 seconds. But the main fight with Doc Ock was amazing. It was phenomenal. It was gripping. It was so, like, we were cheering, like, hey, go on! It was amazing. Like, such a good experience watching that. Like, I'm just remembering it all in my head. I'm like, oh, it was phenomenal. It was amazing. And then we have the development that these people have come through and they need to be found. And so Doctor Strange, like, Scooby-Doo this shit. And they go off and they capture Electro, they capture Lizard, they capture Sandman. And then Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, Green Goblin, he actually goes to the feast shelter as a homeless man. And he's not Green Goblin, he is Norman Osborn. He's like, what is happening? Obviously, because we know that Green Goblin takes over Norman Osborn. And there's sort of that side of the movie. And they have all of them captured. And Doctor Strange is like, right, you need to send them back to die. And Peter's like, no, I don't want to do that. And so Peter and Doctor Strange have this fight in the mirror dimension. And Peter ends up winning and trapping Doctor Strange in the mirror dimension, leaving Peter to do whatever the fuck he wants. And then the third act of this film is very much Peter trying to cure all of the villains so that they won't die in their universes. So he tries to make Sandman a real man. He tries to get rid of the electric charge out of Electro. He tries to make Norman Osborn just Norman Osborn. He tries to make Lizard back to Kurt Connors, and he tries to change the implant in Doc Ock's neck so that it actually works for him rather than them working. You know, do you know what I mean? So he tries to do all of that, and Mr. Norman Osborn turns into Green Goblin and ruins it all, and everyone goes against Peter Parker, Mr. Spooderman, Mr. Tom Holland, and Aunt May ends up getting caught in the crossfire and is killed. And let me tell you now, I was in floods of tears, like, because obviously we didn't have an Uncle Ben in the MCU, and if there was one, we never saw them. And, you know, this is the first time we've seen anyone die close to Peter, apart from, like, Tony. Like, that was it. And it was really heart-wrenching and so upsetting. Like, I was in tears. Like, Aunt May, I knew going in that she was going to die. I just felt like, after seeing the trailers and being like, oh, she's there as well when that happens and this happens, she's going to die. And she did. And it was heart-wrenching. It was so upsetting. So, distraught. And after that, Peter sort of runs off for a bit. And MJ and Ned have the sort of box that if you press it, they all get sent back to their own universes. And Ned has Doctor Strange's ring, which Peter took off of him. so that he couldn't get out of the mirror dimension until Peter was like ready for him to come back from the mirror dimension. And Ned and MJ try to find Peter by using the ring, and we end up getting Mr. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming through these portals, and they're back. They were back. They came back. We knew they were coming. We knew it was going to happen, and they were here, and they conquered this film. Like, they, in a way, they sort of outshone Tom Holland in some ways, because just like the way that they were introduced, like literally we were clapping and screaming in this theatre. Like, we were like, yeah! It was proper loud. Like, we were so loud in this cinema. Like, it's honestly, like, my experience watching this movie was way better than watching Endgame and Civil War, because we were literally screaming and cheering. And we didn't do that in Endgame. I kind of did by myself, going, yeah, go on! But no one else around me was like cheering and stuff, because they were just idiots. But yeah, so Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland are all in the same room trying to make cures for all of the villains. And then we have the massive fight at the Statue of Liberty, and basically it ends with the multiverse sort of cracking. And the only way that it can close is if everybody forgets who Peter Parker is, including MJ, Ned, Doctor Strange, everyone in the MCU forgetting that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And it's devastating to watch, actually, because the film ends with Peter going into the place where MJ works and asking for coffee, and he's got this speech planned to sort of make her remember, and he doesn't do it, and he sees that she's happy and that she's, you know, off to MIT with Ned, and, you know, his life is different now. And one thing that I loved about this film is the way that it ended. The fact that it's sort of a fresh start, in the sense that, yes, we can have MJ and Ned still here, and we can somehow clog their memory maybe, or whatever. But Peter has an apartment at the end of the film. He gets his first apartment. It very much feels like we've seen Peter grow up through school in these first 3 movies, and now it has been confirmed that we have another Spider-Man trilogy coming in the MCU. These sort of next 3 films are going to focus on sort of adulthood, young adulthood of Peter Parker, and it really feels like we've watched Peter grow up in the MCU, and it's weird. Like, it is weird, but I love it at the same time. Like, honestly, it was just so heartwarming to watch, and so, like, I don't know what the word is. It was just so, like, I felt very, like, maternal of Peter in this movie. I was like, wow, he's grown up. Like, with great power came great responsibility, and he did it. You know, he sacrificed his own happiness for the savior of the universe, for the world, for the earth, for everyone. Like, he saved everyone by sacrificing his own happiness, and that was the true message of this film. You know, and it was an amazing experience from beginning to end. You know, watching this. Hello, Jaffa. Sorry, darling. Hello. Sorry, Jaffa's just saying hello to me. Like, this film, it was immense. It was amazing, and I could not have it any better. Well, I could, but it was amazing. So that was the whole story in a very, like, 10-minute condensed version of a 2.5-hour movie. So what I want to do first is I want to talk about all the villains. So let's talk about them. So first off, we have Doc Ock. Alfred Molina, man. Big up Alfred Molina for doing this again. Like, he was amazing. Absolutely amazing from beginning. From beginning to end. Just straight up phenomenal. He owned this movie. He was the one where I was like, he's done phenomenal. Him and Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, from beginning to end, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal performances. It was just like watching the Sam Raimi universe movies with them in it. They after 14, 15, 16 years, they've still got it as Green Goblin and Doc Ock. Honestly, they were just so captivating to watch, and their interactions with each other, because we never see them meet in the Raimiverse, and now that we've seen them meet, it was honestly just perfect, absolute perfection. And then obviously you have Sandman as well from the Raimi universe. Not that big a fan of Sandman in general. After this movie, I'm still sort of like, it's all right. Like I'm not. There's Sandman for me is just not a villain that I'm like hyped about. Like Doc Ock and Green Goblin, like yeah, they're sick. They have such cool elements to them. Whereas Sandman, he's just sand and he can be big, and it just doesn't have that much there for him. You know, the acting was phenomenal though, but it just not a huge fan of Sandman. However, two villains that I wasn't fans of before, but now am, Electro and Lizard. Like, in this movie, the fact that Electro, Jamie Foxx, is now not blue, and I mean, at the beginning he is. You sort of see him when he's on the electric, on the power lines. You can still see the blue that he was before in the Mark Webb universe, but then he changes as he absorbs all this power. And he becomes amazing. He's just so captivating to watch, Jamie Foxx. And he was very camp, though, and I loved that. It was sort of camp fun in this film, and it just worked. It just worked. And then Lizard, obviously, Rhys Ifans. Is that his name? I think it's Rhys Ifans. Phenomenal again. He was only in it for about 10 seconds, Rhys Ifans, but Lizard was in it a lot more. But it just it worked. Like, it worked. I loved having all of these villains in this movie. Like, they just sort of, they molded together, and I think, you know, they really worked together. And I was a bit annoyed that it wasn't the Sinister Six. It was more of like the Fabulous Five, but I think they set up enough to potentially do a Sinister Six movie. I feel like that's going to be the end of the next Spider-Man trilogy, is going to be the Sinister Six. He's fought 5 of them with 3 Spider-Men. Now it's time for him, Tom Holland, on his own to fight 6 of them by himself. Because obviously we have Vulture in the MCU already. So we have one of the Sinister Six. And then if we are opening the multiverse even more, there's potential there as well. So now let's talk about the 3 Spider-Men. I mean, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Tom Holland. I have one negative thing to say and one amazing thing to say. The negative thing was that at first, it didn't feel like it was Peter Parker's. Like, it just felt like Andrew Garfield had popped in and Tobey Maguire had popped in for a minute. And it wasn't until all 3 of them were on screen together that it really felt like it. And there's the scene where they're at Ned's grandmother's house, or his mother's house. I don't know who it is. I think it's his grandmother's house. And they come through the portals the first time. It's sort of like, Grace Randolph said it. It was sort of like an SNL sketch. And I agree. That scene very much feels like it's just a sketch. And it was very much just fan service. But then, the scene where Andrew's talking about losing Gwen, and that he couldn't save her, and Toby's talking about Uncle Ben, that's when it clicked that, you know, they are Peter Parker and that they embodied them again. And it just worked from that point onwards, that they were their characters rather than just like, hello, I'm here. But the fight sequence at the end with all 3 of them was just amazing. Even though it's been leaked the fuck out of, it was amazing. I was in awe of every second of the fight. One thing that did annoy me a little bit was the fact that it was bigged up to be like this huge fight, but it was purely them running away from all the villains to cure them, which was only my sort of little gripe with the sort of final fight, was that it wasn't really a fight. It was more so a running away and sticking needles in people. But, you know, it worked, and it was really, really good. It was so amazing, and I loved every second of the fight. And the fact that Tobey Maguire got stabbed by Green Goblin at the end. He didn't die, but he got stabbed and everyone was like, oh my god, he's gonna die. He didn't. But that moment was truly shocking, and I felt a gut punch. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna die. Because I grew up watching Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and then I went to the cinema to see both the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films with my dad and then my sister. So I've grown up with Spider-Man. I've loved Spider-Man ever since I was like 2, you know, and to see Tobey Maguire nearly die in a film, it was a heart-wrenching. I was like, no, please don't let him die, please, I don't want him to die. But he didn't, thankfully. But the performances from Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were phenomenal. They were amazing, and you know, to say that it was leaked the shit out of, they did both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire did an amazing cover-up of denying it. They really did. Like, it was amazing. So, yeah, and obviously at the end of the film, everyone's gone again, so there's no Doc Ock, Goblin, Electro, Lizard, Sandman, or Tobey or Andrew in the movie, in the MCU anymore. They were part of the MCU, and now they've gone again, back to their own universes. But could this mean we may get an Amazing Spider-Man 3 or a Spider-Man 4? I fucking hope so. Like, I'd love for those movies to, like, grow in so much popularity now that they want to make another one. And I hope they get Sam Raimi and Mark Webb back to do those movies, because they deserve them. They do deserve them. Like, John Watts did amazing with this film. Like, as well, just a quick side note. Homecoming and Far From Home, they weren't very sort of aesthetically pleasing. They were just sort of films, you know, you watch them, that's it. But in this film, there was so much better cinematography and direction. And you could just tell, like, there's one scene where that was so beautiful, where Peter's swinging through the power lines, and it's got the beautiful sort of sunset background. Like, that was just so beautiful to watch, and it was so lovely to see. And I think he stepped up his game, John Watts. And now I'm excited to see what he does with Fantastic Four when they enter the MCU. That was really, really good. I'm so excited. I'm really excited to see that. Let's quickly talk about Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, though. I'm so hyped. Like, I've only seen... Don't kill me. From the Marvel Netflix shows, I've only seen Daredevil Season 1, 2, and a bit of Season 3... Jessica Jones Seasons 1 and half of Season 2. I've seen Iron Fist Season 1, Luke Cage Season 1, and all of Defenders. And Season 1 of Punisher. That is it. So I am going to make it my homework just to rewatch them, because I do want to watch them. Even though technically they haven't been said that they are canon, I still want to watch them just to be on the safe side, in case they're like, yeah, they're canon now. Because I won't mind if they are, to be honest. I will still bloody watch them. But I'm so glad Charlie Cox is back. And obviously, slight spoiler for Hawkeye. If you haven't seen it, please click off now if you haven't seen Hawkeye, or just skip like 30 seconds. But the fact that Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio, is also back as Kingpin in the Hawkeye show, so he's in the MCU, does that mean we're going to get a Daredevil movie or Disney Plus show, or a Kingpin Disney Plus show? Or I wonder where... those two characters have come into the MCU on the same day, and I love that. You know, both here on the Wednesday the 15th of December, they were both implanted into the MCU together. What does that mean? I hope it means we get a Daredevil Disney Plus show. I do. I think we need one, and I feel like Kevin Feige knows how to do it. You know, I think he's got a few tricks, obviously, Mr. Feige. However, I've heard that Charlie is going to be showing up in She-Hulk as a lawyer. So that's going to be really, really cool. I wonder if he's going to suit up in that, maybe. Maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with Hawkeye episode 6. The finale next week. Who knows? Yeah, so Charlie Cox is back. He's amazing. I love Charlie Cox more than anything. I'm so glad that he is playing Daredevil, because I don't see anyone else. Ben Affleck wasn't that good as Daredevil, but Charlie Cox was amazing, and phenomenally so. Like, he was amazing. Absolutely amazing. As far as a multiverse story goes, and what we sort of speculated and were sort of promised from this movie, I was a bit let down. You know, we speculated so much about this movie, like, oh, who could show up? I wonder what could happen. We didn't get as much as we thought we were going to get. Now, that hasn't negatively impacted my thought on the movie, because I didn't go in expecting too much. I expected 3 Spider-Men. I got it. I expected Daredevil. I got it. I expected someone to die. I got it. So, you know, I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs barking. They're doing my head in downstairs. Now, it's just like, where next? So, obviously, we have Doctor Strange 2. I haven't talked about Doctor Strange yet, because I'm saving that. But Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, was one of the post-credit scenes. So we actually got the trailer for sort of teaser trailer for Doctor Strange 2 as the final post-credit scene of No Way Home. And it's very interesting. I will give it that. I was sort of like, after they were doing extensive reshoots for the film, I was sort of like, oh shit. I don't know where this is going to go now. I feel like they're doing this because it's shit. But I'm hopeful now that I've seen the teaser trailer, because it's the first Marvel horror movie, or horror-esque movie, and you can tell that by the trailer. The trailer is actually like a bit unnerving. It's really cool. The fact that we've got Wanda in it, and there is a mention of Westview, which shows the interconnectivity of WandaVision. It is in the MCU, guys. Don't be like, no, I don't want it to be MCU. It is part of the MCU. And the fact that, you know, it's called Multiverse of Madness, and literally Doctor Strange says to Wanda, how much do you know about the multiverse? That, to me, means, ooh, I think shit's going to go down in this movie. And I feel like Multiverse of Madness is going to be more on the level of Avengers Endgame than No Way Home. Because everyone was like, oh yeah, No Way Home's going to be like the new Endgame. Nah, I think it's going to be Doctor Strange 2. Because not only will it have been 6 years since the first one, it is also the one film that that will expand the MCU more broadly than this Spider-Man film. Because No Way Home hasn't expanded the MCU apart from bringing in Charlie Cox. That is it. And it's changed the MCU in the sense that no one knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And to be honest, no one remembers Peter Parker. So that's the only thing that's different. And, like, Endgame had bigger consequences than that. And I feel like this film, Doctor Strange 2, is going to have way, way, way bigger consequences than No Way Home. Maybe Doctor Strange 2 will fix the fact that no one knows who Peter Parker is. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? And I don't know how connected No Way Home is going to be to Doctor Strange 2 until we watch Doctor Strange 2. But I'm expecting big things. And I love Wanda. I love Elizabeth Olsen. And she's back. And she looks so hot and gorgeous in this movie. Like, oh, I cannot wait to see what she does in this film. And I feel like, yeah, so Doctor Strange 2 is definitely going to be more multiversal. It's called Multiverse of Madness. It's going to be more of a multiverse story, in my opinion. I feel like we could potentially get the X-Men coming in. We could get Fantastic Four. We could get whatever coming in from that film as cameos or to stay or whatever. And it is coming from sort of the House of M storyline, I am to believe. You know, WandaVision sort of touched on the House of M sort of storyline, but I really do feel like Multiverse of Madness is going to touch upon more House of M, much like when she says no more mutants. Maybe in this one she's going to say bring on the mutants or bring me mutants or whatever. Who knows? But we will find out May 5th. I can't believe I have to wait. We're on December. 5 months. 5 months for another Marvel movie. I don't want to wait 5 months, but we have to. Talking of Doctor Strange, though, in this movie, he didn't really feel like Doctor Strange. He sort of, Benedict Cumberbatch is an amazing actor. He sort of felt like Doctor Strange, but didn't at the same time. Like, I feel like there's something going on with him, and I feel like it has something to do with What If, you know, where we find out that there are actually split versions of Doctor Strange, and that there is sort of an evil side to him, that lost his love and sort of tried to do everything in his power to bring her back. So who knows? I love Doctor Strange. He's now one of my favourite characters, to be honest. Doctor Strange and Wanda are my two favourite MCU characters, along with Loki. Loki is like joint first with Wanda, and then Doctor Strange is second. Like, I love him. And then Yelena is third. So, yeah, there you go. So yeah, that's Doctor Strange. Let's talk about the other post-credit scenes. The first post-credit scene is with the one and only Mr. Tom Hardy as Venom in Mexico at a bar, and he's basically taken back to his universe, but a part of the symbiote that is Venom is left on this bar table, which sort of leads us to think, okay, we're going to get a new version of Venom in the MCU, whilst Venom has his own little universe over here in the Sonyverse. Now, I felt cheated by that post-credit scene, because at the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, it was bigged up to be this thing that, oh my god, Venom's going to be part of the MCU now, he's going to fight Spider-Man, he's going to show up in No Way Home, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then the only reason he was brought over to the MCU was to drop off a bit of the symbiote so that it could then, you know, like, it just felt really cheated. Like, I felt really cheated and didn't feel like it had that much of an impact. Like, there was no need to bring Venom over. They could have just redone Venom. Like, there was no point in sort of bigging it up to be like, oh my god, Venom. Like, they could have just done another origin story in the MCU rather than just bringing Venom over to drop off a bit of the symbiote to then do whatever with it. Do you know what I mean? It just felt cheap. It felt like a shit move. Like, I was sat there, literally, I watched it, I was like, oh my god, Venom, oh my god, what's going to happen? Is he going to stay here while everyone else disappears? What's going to happen? And then disappeared, and then I was like, well, what was the point? And then there's like a symbiote on the table, and I just went, seriously? I just sort of sat there through the credits going, like, I felt really pissed off. And that's one of my only gripes with the film, is that post-credit scene. Like, I was fuming at that post-credit scene. But who knows? I'm excited to see what happens, but I just feel like it's a very, very, very cheap move. As for my predictions for what I think No Way Home's impacts are going to be on the MCU, I think that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to grow up differently now, and I feel like, you know, we don't have a Norman Osborn in the MCU yet, and I feel like that could be a potential thing, and sort of Peter's sort of like, oh shit, he's going to turn into Green Goblin, shit's going to go down. And I think, you know, that could be a cool aspect. Maybe Oscorp bought Stark Tower, because we still haven't been confirmed who's bought Stark Tower yet. It could be Fisk's Tower for all we know. Who knows? Like, we'll find out. But, like, I don't think there's going to be big repercussions from No Way Home in the MCU. Like, I just feel like it was a new Spider-Man movie that was done for fan service and to big up Phase 4 of the MCU and to sort of start Peter fresh and new into adulthood with the MCU. Because the MCU it's sort of taken a new course. You know, all of these stories are interconnected somehow. You know, WandaVision, No Way Home, Loki, and Doctor Strange 2 are all part of the multiverse saga. We don't know where it's going to go past that, you know, but I trust Kevin Feige with my whole heart. He knows what he's doing, and I think he's going to do a smashing job. I really do. I think we just have to wait and see. I'm really sorry. This is literally 35 minutes of me ranting, but I don't give a shit. But thank you guys for watching my sort of review. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. And remember, guys, please, please, please do not spoil the movie for people who have not seen it. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Woo! Oh, no. I think I'm catching